everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday. I just realized I'm the worst. I didn't even go on my social media and announce this. I've been in, oh gosh, I'm the worst radio host in the world. But we got 11 people here today. Maybe my managers, if you guys are listening, maybe you can.
I know we announced on the Discord that it was going to be a little bit earlier today.
Yeah, well, we got 19 people, 20 people here. Well, thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Kind of a random time, and thanks for being with me, Fish. Again, Fish and I are not in the same location today. It always feels weird when you're not here with me.
I know. I feel so distant from you.
You're so far away.
No.
But it's good to chat with you. It's good to catch up with you. Fish and I are both a little under the weather today because I think we had too much fun this week. And
too much fun, too much sun.
Too much fun in the sun. And also while we were having a lot of fun, we were also working really hard and going to tons of rehearsals and staying up late. And so let me just cue you in. If you weren't aware, I had the incredible honor of being a part of the Disney's Harmonious Live performance, which streamed on Disney Plus this week. And it was taped live and filmed live. And it's actually like a cool, like something that's been in the works for years, literally, because in the beginning of COVID, I got asked to record the violin part for the Brave theme for the Epcot show that plays every night in Disney World, which is just such an honor. Like, I got so emotional when I got to see it for the first time. I was like, I can't, like, I've been to Disneyland my whole life, and then to get to be there hearing my song play, and you know, I don't know, it was just incredible experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've definitely watched it a couple times online because you can watch it now. It's a thing.
Yeah, I know. I need to go on Disney Plus, and maybe I'll do that today. Maybe I'll go on Disney Plus and watch it because it was pretty incredible to be a part of the taping. But of course, you can't really watch it when you're a part of the taping. But seeing it live and all the incredible performers, like I got so emotional, especially in the parts where the girls were singing back and forth in the different languages.
So good.
It's just such a beautiful tribute to inclusivity in the world. Like, that's the whole purpose of the show, was they took all these different Disney themes that were set in different, you know, cultures and inspired by different cultures, being, you know, everything from the Mulan theme, which is inspired by China, to, you know, Coco, which is inspired by Mexican culture, and, you know, to, you know, I played the Irish song from Brave. So it's like taking all these pieces, you know, Aladdin, and, you know, just bringing the world together and realizing that art and music is truly something that keeps us, you know, connected. And it was really beautiful and inspiring.
We also, I think both of us had quite a few moments where it was just like kind of pinching ourselves, you know, both being massive Disney fans of just like, wow, is this happening? Are we here and doing this? Yeah. Very much so.
I feel like you and I've had a couple moments like that in the last few weeks where we've gotten to experience things that have inspired us, you know, whether it's like the Backstreet Boys show where we're like, oh my gosh, if like 16-year-old me knew that I was going to be here, like at this show as a guest of AJ, you know, and then being at Disneyland, and also not only being like, wow, in some way we're connected to this entertainment, but also being like, wow, this is what we get to do for our livelihood. Like, you know, just this extreme gratitude of like,
oh my gosh,
in my life, I get to entertain people. And if my show gives people just an ounce of the joy that I felt at either of those two events, whether it was the Disney special or the Backstreet Boys show, like standing there in the audience with this huge smile on my face, I was like, if the show that we put on gives people just an ounce of this amount of joy, that's why I do what I do. And anyways, it was just amazing.
Yeah, it felt very manifestation in those ways where, you know, I think for me personally, like I have been a diehard fan of Disney parks for many, many years. It wasn't lost on me that I have now experienced these incredibly special moments in the Disney parks with you, and just how incredible kind of, I don't really know how to put it into words, but it almost feels like the universe is like nodding at me and being like, you are on the right path. These are gifts to you. These are moments to be grateful for. Like, you know, keep putting good karma into the universe. And this is your gift in return. There's just these moments of just humble realization of how lucky and grateful that I feel and that I am, I guess, you know, in those moments.
I think you're so good at doing that. And that's something that I have made an effort through my life to, you know, hopefully be as good as you are at that. Cause I hear you say that all the time. You say, this isn't lost on me. And whether it's like we're on tour and you're backstage taking in a moment of, like you say that every night on tour during the show. I mean, I'll let you speak to it. What do you do every night?
Yeah. Every night during the show, at some point during the show, usually, you know, sitting side stage, like watching you perform or getting ready for a quick change. Every single night, I will just take a moment where I close my eyes and I kind of take a deep breath and I just give a thank you to the universe that I am doing what I'm doing. And I listen to the sound of the crowd and I listen to the vibrations of, like, you know, the bass and you playing the violin in my ears. And I just like take it in that moment real quick and just say thank you. And, you know, some people would consider that a prayer. Other people would consider it just like kind of talking to the universe or like kind of sending out that energy, that like positive, good karmic energy of just thank you for letting me be here in this moment. And like I always say to people all the time, everything is temporary. Like our time on tour, it's temporary. It's going to come to an end. Or, you know, this joyous experience that we're having, it will come to an end. Or even just as simple as like the house that I live in or the comfort that I have right now, that too will someday come to an end. And so in this moment, thank you for what I have. I am grateful for it. And I think since I started doing that, I've seen massive changes in my life. Like I am a happier person. I am a less anxious person. And I see a lot more magic in my life. I have more of those moments once I started acknowledging those moments.
Yes. And gratitude is something that I've worked on for like a couple years now, just everything from writing in a gratitude journal to just, you know, then taking it to be like, okay, how every day, like you were saying, can I show a moment of like gratitude, like stop and like take in and feel. And, you know, I've actually been working, and I've talked about this with you guys, you know, and Fish and I both have been doing breath work, which has been life-changing for me. And, you know, through the breath work, it's kind of just helping yourself get reattached to your own body and live in. It's helped me live in my body and be more connected with my own spirit, my own soul, whatever you want to call it, your own like essence, your own energy. But a big part of it is also not only connecting with yourself, but connecting with the world around you and taking moments to say, I see, I notice, I'm aware, I'm grateful. Like letting, you know, God or the universe or whatever it is know that you are noticing the little puzzle pieces it's connecting for you and the beautiful things that it's granting you. And honestly, the coolest thing about it for me is the more you look, the more you see. And so with that, a lot of people might say, well, it's because you're looking for it and you're probably making it up. Okay. So what if I am? I'm still happier as a result of noticing little tiny miracles in every day and noticing little connections. And rather than just seeing them as like, well, that's a weird coincidence, being like, no, the fact that like, I remember standing on Main Street as a kid and being like, and being brought to tears by the fireworks show and the music that was playing. And I really think a little piece of myself manifested, someday I want to be a part of this. And then getting to stand on stage and play the other night and be like, today is someday. I'm a part of this. And
it didn't happen overnight. It didn't, you know, we always think like, oh, if I'm going to manifest it, I'm going to see the results tomorrow or in a week. No, it could take years. It could take a decade. And that's okay because it'll happen when it's meant to happen. And it'll happen in ways that you don't expect, you know?
Right. And it's just such a magical, powerful thing. And, you know, I think I've shared this before on this radio show, but a few years ago, I think I got scared and I started to feel like maybe my career was slipping backwards. And I can't tell you how much that terrified me. And I think in that moment, rather than dreaming big anymore, I kind of stopped dreaming and I like almost put this iron grasp on my career. Like I refuse to let you slip away. And I started like in a sports term, I started playing defensively rather than dreaming offensively and thinking like, what's next? What else do I want to be grateful for? It became like just clinging to like refusing to let go of what I had. And, that's hard for God, the universe, me. That's really hard to work with something like that. And only recently, through doing breath work, did I even realize I was doing this. And it's been a really exciting thing to watch myself. And also, again, this doesn't happen overnight. It's not like I realized this and decided, okay, well, I'm going to start dreaming tomorrow. It's like I had to retrain my brain to believe again. And it's been months of doing consistent every day, a little meditation and a little breath work and visualization. And I'm at this place now where I feel myself dreaming again. I feel that magic that I didn't even know I'd lost coming back to me. And it's funny to see the puzzle pieces already starting to, like, my breathwork coach calls them breadcrumbs. And she says, it's kind of like Hansel and Gretel. They left that little breadcrumb trail through the woods so they could find their way back. And it's like, the universe or God or my angels, they're leaving me little clues, letting me know that, like, we hear you, we see you, and we're working on it. Like, your wishes and your dreams, they're on their way to you. And honestly, again, the more that I see them and the more I look for them, it's the more the universe will give, because they're like, oh my gosh, she's paying attention. So we're going to give her more because she's acknowledging this, And
yeah. And I also kind of
really sweet little, oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I just want to acknowledge, like, I didn't really believe in this stuff for a very long time. And I'm still, like, really skeptical of a lot of things, but it's gotten to the point where the coincidences are too eerie to ignore and too specific to ignore. And that's why I always say that I feel like the universe has a great sense of humor, because it's just one of those things that time and time again, I'm like, shoot, here I am questioning, and you show up, with just this hilarious example of why I should believe more. And it's really taken my skepticism and turned it around very quickly, very, very quickly.
Yes. Well, and it's even funny. You've told me multiple times that you're just like, the universe has a great sense of humor, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the coincidences are too eerie and too close and too specific and too personal to just be coincidences. And there's too many of them. I mean, I couldn't even make you a list if I had to, because they're so specific and so many. And it just makes me feel so grateful to be able to see those things and not take them for granted, I guess. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, to anyone listening, like, I think of my mom, how, sometimes she'll talk about her, oh, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. First of all, my mom is so talented. She has so many amazing gifts and talents, and she has dreams and desires. And, and it's been fun as she started to do this breath work as well. She stopped thinking about, like, oh, I wish I'd done that. And she's finally starting to realize that she's got decades ahead of her. And she, like, I look back and think of all that has changed in my life. Like, literally my life has flipped upside down in the best way possible only through the last decade. And so it's like, no matter what stage of life you're at, like, you have endless potential to chase your dreams and to restart today saying, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to dream. I'm going to stop thinking that, like, the past is written and that means the future is written. Like, no, today's a brand new day. Like, and again, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, these beliefs, they may seem like hilarious at first as you start to think of your dreams and imagine them and visualize them. You'll be like, this almost feels comical that I'm imagining that this could happen, and it's almost embarrassing. Like, I couldn't even tell anybody this dream because it's so far out there. Yeah. But, like, you don't have to tell anybody at first. Just believe it and visualize it, and suddenly it'll stop feeling ridiculous, and you will realize that it's very possible.
Yeah. Something that you just said made me remember one of my, like, favorite concepts that I love talking to people about. As far as, like, the past and the future go, Alan Watts has, like, a brilliant notion that he used to teach to people. And it's not like a belief. It's very much reality, that everything 1 second ago and everything 1 second from now doesn't actually exist. It only exists in our brains. So the only thing that literally exists is this second right now that you exist in. what I just said no longer exists. It's just in my brain. And whatever I'm going to say, a second from now, it doesn't exist yet. And so it's one of those things where you begin to think about that and you begin to realize how much control you actually have over how you view your past and how you dream of your future, and how often you actually choose to suffer both in the past and the future, and how much you choose to not suffer in the past and the future. And once you begin to like kind of conceptualize that, I consider that like a light switch moment in my life of, oh, I have a lot more control than I think I have. It's a big game changer for sure.
Right. No, for sure. And it's fun when you have those light bulb moments that make you, it's like you've heard all this stuff before, but when something clicks, it's really exciting to be like, oh my gosh, I can take charge of me and my life. I am the master of my life. And, another thing that was like a really cool light bulb moment for me was I was recently reading a book by, oh my gosh, okay, I'll remember it in a second. But I was reading this book and he talked about, I know I told you this already, Fish, so I don't even know if this was a light bulb moment for you, but for me, I was mind blown. He was talking about the actual construction of the atom, like going into physics and biology. And I love it when like this kind of woo stuff meets science, and you see that there's actually a huge overlap in the Venn diagram, that this stuff is scientifically based. It has like studies and evidence and proof that like, these things, breath work, energy, that they are real things. And so anyways, he broke down the structure of an atom, and atoms are the little thing hear my terminology, the little thing that make up everything physical. It's the basic, particle. And so if you look at an atom, though, they used to think it was made of, like it was solid, it was made of matter, but they've realized it is only 1% actual material, like actual physical, like elements is only 1% of the atom. The other 99% is made up of energy. So like, what even is that? Well, it's the feeling, it's the actual electricity. And so that's why they say that like your energy introduces you before you say a word. Like when you walk in a room or when you step up to introduce yourself to someone, what is even more important than what you say is how you feel, because all those millions and millions of atoms inside of you are made up of 99% energy. And, so like imagining that truly like the feeling you give out into the world, you can work on expanding that to make yourself more magnetic, to draw in your dreams, to draw in the kind of people you want to be around. And that will do far more than anything physical, which is only 1% of who we really are. Anyways, my mind was blown when I read that.
Yeah, it's like, some people when they walk into a room, like they always say the room lights up when so-and-so walks into the room, or even, the opposite of that, like, oh, they entered the room and like just sucked the energy out of it. Like they brought everybody down. And like there's vibes to people. And I think that's a real thing. Yeah.
For sure.
On that note, I kind of want to talk about the vibe of our guide over the last couple of days, if you want to talk about that at all.
We have to talk about that. So as part of when you do something with Disney, oftentimes they will roll out the red carpet for you for the Disney experience. And so since we were performing in Disney World, they gave us what is called a guided VIP tour. And granted, I should let you guys know that this is something that anyone can buy. Like you can purchase this, you pay per hour for a guide. And I mean, should we go into detail of what this means, Lindsay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel so spoiled even saying it because it's like so unreal. But they literally walk you to the front of every line. I'll just say that. They take you and your party. They will call the attraction, let them know that they are on their way with their VIP tour. And then they basically walk you through a different entrance onto the ride. And you get to basically walk onto the ride or wait in a very short line,
Yes.
And it was even a little embarrassing sometimes because they would put us on a ride. And they would always ask us, they would even ask us, do you want your own cart or do you want your own train for your party? And I would always say, no, I'm very happy to share. Like, well, of course, like fill the train.
Yeah.
But a few times they didn't listen. And they sent our train, like, for example, like Thunder Mountain. I was so embarrassed. They loaded it with just our 8 people. And then they sent
that's a huge train that can hold, and like 40 people.
Yeah, exactly. There's like hundreds of people that are visible waiting in line watching us take off. I felt so bad, like so awkward. But anyways, that's kind of the extent of what a VIP tour guide can do for you.
Yeah. And I mean, what's really cool about a VIP guide is that in order to have that job, you need to know a lot about Disney, about Disney as a company, and a lot about, let's just specifically Disney parks. I joke with Lindsey quite often that, I have my dream job with her, but if I didn't have my dream job with her, my dream job would be being a Disney guide, like being a Disney tour guide.
That I'm going to special the Disney parks. I'll just say that.
Yeah, exactly. And we were incredibly lucky this past time around. We were given a guide who was just exceptional beyond belief. He was everything that I think Walt Disney wanted in his tour guides. He was he knew everything and anything you could possibly know about Disney parks. He lived and breathed it himself. He was just as excited to be there with us, for the full 30 hours that we had him, just as excited the first minute as he was down to the last minute. And he was so vibrant.
More energetic than us. Like by the end of the day, we were all like dragging our feet and slow, and he's just still keeping a brisk pace and telling us about facts. And also, I will start out by saying when he picked us up from the hotel, he had, to be a tour guide, they all have to have an umbrella, and it has to be a standard black umbrella. But he got special permission to have the little parrot head of like the Mary Poppins umbrella on his. Yes. And so he would lift it above his head and guide us through the parks with this Mary Poppins umbrella as he's like spouting off the coolest, that's the thing also. Disney is so all about the details. So he's telling us about these tiny, tiny details of why the ground is this color. You notice the shutters are slightly bent. It's because in the time period that this is modeled after, the curtains were often, warped because of the sun and the material they had to make them with. Just like the most intricate details. And it just makes you so much more appreciative of what Disney puts into every ounce of what they do. And then the fact that he knew these thousands of facts that he's rattling off to us throughout the day. It was amazing.
And I think the most impressive part to me was he never broke the fourth wall. So all the guides that we've had in the past, they were very chill with us and very I would say pretty normal, very, normal, just friendly with us. But our guide, Seth, he was very in Disney character the entire time. He never broke it. And I was so impressed. At one point, one of Lindsey's friends asked him about Belle. And if Belle is in a parade, is there another Belle somewhere in the park that's also meeting guests? And he turned and looked at her and he went, oh, well, Belle is Belle is Belle. So to him, Belle is literally Belle. Belle is a real person who lives with the beast and lived that life. She's real. She's absolutely real. And he refused to break that fourth wall with us. And I, just as somebody who lives and breathes the park magic, I could not have appreciated it more. I found it so exceptional in just so many ways. He brought me to tears countless times. I felt so lucky to have this experience with him.
Yes, and when he left us, because he was not only taking us through the parks, but he picked us up to take us to rehearsals and get us back to the hotel after rehearsal. So he was with us for 3 solid days. And when he left us, we all just looked at each other. We're like, I'm going to cry.
I did cry.
Friend.
I also want to note that Seth won, oh my gosh, and I'm blanking on the name of the award. It is essentially the Grammys or the Oscars. Right? The Legacy Award, yeah. Seth has already won the Legacy Award, which is the highest honor that you can receive in the Disney company. So he had already been commended on his exceptional talent within the company. And we're definitely going to commend him anyway to his superiors, but it was just lovely knowing that he's already been recognized as being exceptional and top tier. And I can guarantee you anytime that we go back to the park, we will request Seth as our guide because he was fabulous. He was so fabulous.
He was the best. And, to wrap up, the Disney experience. I know we've talked so much about it, but I just am such a fan. I just think that nobody does it like them. And as we sat there at the end of the day, the end of our experience, watching, the Magic Castle fireworks shows, this voiceover came out that was saying, like, believe in yourself, like your dreams are a reality and you are the magic. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the kind of stuff that I say in my meditations and my breath work. And, and I think that Disney does magically remind us that dreams are possible. And like, they've got countless stories and their stories continue to evolve and get better and better. Like, if you think about like old school princesses versus the princesses of nowadays, like they are so like capable of chasing their dreams and doing the impossible. And anyways, it's just like, if you ever need to be reminded that dreams are possible, like, gosh, either watch a Disney movie or go to a Disney fireworks show, like, and you will believe in yourself.
Yeah. And on that note, we were informed and we learned that Disney has very quickly and very aggressively started to instate a lot of very progressive ideals and rules in their park, that people are free to be who they want to be, and that love is love, and that Disney backs that. And I was moved to tears hearing these changes that the park has made. I mean, just a few years ago, there were a lot of strict rules about, what cast members could do and who they could be outwardly. And that has flipped on its head. And Disney is full bore, we want to do what's right in this world. And, cast members are now allowed to identify however they want to identify. They're allowed to dress however they want to dress, within reason, within dress code, but, in their identification. And they're allowed to be outwardly who they want to be.
And, and hearing this from Seth, who was a gay man who has a beard and he had a tattoo on his arm, and just hearing it from his
earrings.
Yeah, he used to have to take out his earrings. He used to have to cover his tattoo. Which was, a Wizard of Oz tattoo. It's like a beautiful work of art. And then also, just more than anything, the fact that he is now able to openly express the way he wants to love and live. And he just saying how proud he was to be a Disney cast member, even more so that is, he can express himself as Seth. I just thought that was so poignant and so beautiful and inspiring.
Yes. Agreed. Oh, I want to go back.
I know. Take us back right now.
I'm curious.
We've been talking a lot about manifesting. I just want to say one little story from the other day of so now when I like to do a morning walk these days, kind of as part of my little exercise routine, and I get to take Luna out, but also I combine it with my breath work, and I do this very specific breathing, pattern for like 15 to 20 minutes while I'm doing my walk. And it puts me, I'll teach you guys really quick if you want to know this breath pattern, that just puts me in this really great state where I suddenly really believe and I visualize my dreams. And so here I am walking, I'm doing my breath work, I'm, visualizing my dreams. And I kind of walk almost with my eyes like half closed because I'm visualizing. And then I open my eyes up like all the way, and I saw a hummingbird. And so anybody that has been listening to me for a while knows that a hummingbird for me is a symbol of my dad, who passed away several years ago. And it's just a reminder to me, he's become my symbol. Is a hummingbird means like dad is like kind of there. And so I see this hummingbird, and it happened to fly by right as the Ava Max lyrics was saying, to all of the queens who are fighting alone, you're not dancing on your own. And, here I am visualizing my dreams, like feeling like I'm this little warrior. I'm out in the world, like fighting this battle, like to get my dreams made. And then the lyric, like, you're not fighting on your own. Like, and then this hummingbird flew by right when it said that. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like my dad, my angels reminding me that like, I've got you. You are not fighting alone, queen. And we are going to make these things happen together. And it was just such a beautiful little breadcrumb of a moment for me.
I love that. I love that so much. I'm curious, what was your favorite ride in the parks?
Oh, my favorite ride? Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Speaking of my dad, I don't know why, but whenever I ride the Pandora ride, the flight of the Banshee or whatever it is, that one I think is my favorite ride in the world. It's so consuming and breathtaking. And for some reason, whenever I ride that ride from the very first time I've rode it, I feel my dad's presence. And it literally, like Fish will tell you, when I got off that ride, I'm wiping away solid tears.
Yep.
And I think I'm like getting emotional just thinking about it. I think it's because the first time I rode it was 2018, and it was, you know, not far after my dad's passing. And I remember as I rode it, I just thought, I was like, oh my gosh, my dad would have loved this. I can like hear his laughter. He had this really loud, boisterous laughter. And I was like, I can almost hear his laughter if he had ridden this ride. And so there's a specific part towards the end of that ride. Every time I almost feel like my dad is like, don't worry, I'm here with you. Like I'm experiencing it so much more. And so, yeah, that's my favorite ride because for some reason it makes me feel my dad's presence ever since the first time I've rode it. But yeah, so that was my favorite.
That's awesome. I love that story. Well, I feel like this is kind of the cheap answer, but I think my new favorite ride, okay, classically, Big Thunder Mountain, always. I don't think that will ever change. Big Thunder is lodged in my heart as just the best ride of all time. My
Especially
ringtone,
when you get your own car awkwardly to
my ringtone used to be the safety spiel, and I think it's time to make it that again. But the cheap answer is that the new Guardians roller coaster stole my heart. And I am a ride mechanics nerd. I think Imagineers who are grown adults who get to make magic for humans is just the coolest job in the entire world. And watching them just get a win like that and watching them be able to create something like that it melts my brain to think about. So for anyone who isn't familiar, the new Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster at Epcot is a new ride technology where it's a roller coaster, but the cars move and swivel in a way that I would almost liken it to maybe Toy Story Mania for anybody who's ever ridden that, or even the Hogwarts Castle ride at Universal. It's kind of similar in its movement, and it moves 360 on the track. The feelings that I felt in my body, the vertigo that I got, my brain couldn't understand how my body was moving. And when we got off the ride, I couldn't find my feet for a moment. But the physical sensations that they were able to put into all of our bodies were so unreal and so new that I just commend them on such an excellent job. Even if you don't like roller coasters, which I don't, my group will tell you, I do not like roller coasters. I cannot recommend enough. Go on this ride. It will blow your mind. Worth it.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. The whole time we were on it, I was just like amazed at how they used the screens alongside with the physical roller coaster to kind of create these feelings like you're being, shot to warp speed. Now you're like almost being like slowed down in time. And like, it just was very wild where you kind of were like, am I moving forward or am I moving backwards? Am I upside down? I can't tell. Like it was really, really wild.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, there was one point, I won't spoil it, but there was one point where you are kind of flung around a physical object that is being projection mapped onto. And it blew my mind. It's a perfect example of Disney magic in real time, and just A+. If you get the chance, go on it. You will never forget it. I wish we could have done it again.
Yeah. No, they specifically have rules of like, you have to wake up really early and either like reserve a spot on that ride for you. And, and you can only ride it once. It's very popular right now, but that will slow down. So,
Yeah.
It will chill out. You know what I mean? But I'd love to play a song now. I think I'm going to play Be Kind by Halsey and Marshmello. I love this song. It's one of the songs I listen to when I do my morning like meditation walk, like breathing walk.
Yes.
I don't know. It just puts me in a super like happy, free state. So this is Be Kind by Halsey and Marshmello. Okay. I love that song. Oh, it's so good. I'm a Halsey fan. I really am. She just is so, she's so cool. in all her music. That's like the best adjective I can think of it. She's always just been so like the slight edge, but also like just vibey.
Yeah, I don't know if I could think of a better word than cool. You know, she's just cool.
Also, speaking of manifesting, I forget who it was, but someone I know very well told me that they were at a festival and that they met Halsey, and she was like trying to get into the artist area, and she like had a pass, but they were like not letting her back, and she was like, and she told the guard, she's like, well, guess what? Next year I'm going to be up on that main stage. And he was like, sure, cool.
Oh, you know, she totally was.
Who was in the music industry, and is like, I think it might have been Zach, like my old manager. I'm pretty sure it was him. You know, and he didn't know who she was, but he stood behind her as she's like kind of trying to talk to this backstage guard to let her in, and so he remembered her. And she's like, I'm Halsey, and next year I'm going to be on the main stage. And the guy was like, okay, good luck with that. Anyways, and then Zach went past her into the backstage area, and sure enough, next year at Lollapalooza, I was there performing on earlier, and sure enough, she played at like evening slot on the main stage. And it just goes to show, like, some people would think that's crazy. Like, she had barely released that first album, you know, at that point, and no one even knew who she was, but she just believed in herself so strongly that she willed it into existence. She made the magic happen, and I'm sure she worked her tail off to do it. But the magic combo is when you work hard in the seasons you need to work hard, and then you just believe that you can do it.
Do you think that guard was still there and was like, oh, crap?
Like, I should have let her backstage and got her autograph.
Ah, shoot.
Oh, I mean, that's the place I'm trying to put myself in. No, not trying. That's the place I am putting myself right now, is just being like, I'm going to do that. Like, next year, X is going to happen. And this is going to happen. And
I thought it was really cool. We didn't talk about it. We should have acknowledged it. But when you left the stage that night, when we left the backstage area to walk back, you had a line of people lined up to cheer for you, to clap for you, to grab your autograph and take photos. Like, there were so many that we had to move on. And I don't think none of us like stopped to talk about how cool that was. Like, you had
that was cool.
Yeah,
like
that was
in the Disney
cool.
park, not expected at all. Like, not expected. It wasn't like my show, so I just was quite surprised when you walked out, and I was like, "Oh, well, thank you. Oh my gosh,
that was amazing." That was amazing. Those people were so stoked to see you. Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah. That was a cool moment. Being paraded through Disneyland, I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much.
I want you to know that Space Mountain mug that I bought, I'm trying to drink from it right now, and there's no way to drink from it. It's the least convenient mug I've ever purchased in my entire life, but I don't regret it.
Yeah, it's so freaking cute. Yeah, Fish got this little Space Mountain cute. Like cookie jar and mug, and they are so adorable. They're like beautiful too.
They're beautiful, but I think this is going to be a one-time use, and then I'm just going to make it into art, because I'm sitting here trying to drink without spilling on myself, and there's no way to drink from it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well.
That's so funny. I'm curious, Fish, are there any things you feel like you've manifested recently, or like any breadcrumbs that you know,
I mean, yes, going back to oh gosh, where do I start? I'm trying to think of like the best example. So right. I think one of the funnier ones is that growing up, I was a huge fan of the Backstreet Boys. A huge fan. Like, that's an understatement. My wall in my room was head to toe. Not an inch of it was visible because it was just Backstreet Boy posters, even the ceiling. And, you know, the whole like 360 thing of it, of like going to that show. And I mean, the whole reason that I'm in the music business is because of the Backstreet Boys. And I think the whole going to the show and being invited by AJ and with you, and going like in this capacity, and as somebody who's now working in the music business, it felt like such a beautiful full circle. And not just any of the Backstreet Boys, but very specifically him, the one who I idolized, and who, you know, I remember sitting outside of a venue in Columbus, Ohio at the age of 17. And I sat there watching people load in and out of trucks and off and on tour buses. And I remember my heart just aching. And I kept saying inside of myself, I just kept willing, I want to do this. I want to be part of this so bad. And it happened. And it didn't happen overnight, but it very much happened, you know, at that same level, that same capacity. And there was just this beautiful, you know, turnaround and this moment of kind of like, hey, you did it. Like, we did it. You did the thing that you said you were going to do. And the universe showed up for you in that way, and in a very unexpected way. And I don't know, that was, I usually don't see my breadcrumbs until hindsight. I think that's something that I've noticed in myself, is that when I look back, I see my breadcrumbs very clearly, but I don't often see them as they're happening, which I think is okay. But
I also feel like you're getting more, like, as you've started to look for them more, you are seeing them, because you'll tell me little things in moments of like, you know, that you're, oh my God, I noticed this. So it's like, I feel like you're just getting more in the practice of noticing them and thanking, like immediately thanking the universe for them in the moment, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had mentioned to you the other day, something that was very humbling to me. I went through a pretty traumatic episode in early of 2019, where it was probably, to this date, you know, 34 years into my life, it was probably the most traumatic thing that's happened to me. And I really struggled to deal with it. And I had this realization as we were driving from the park back to our hotel on the last night. It was almost like a punch in the face, kind of this light up moment where I realized, oh my God, if that had never happened to me, I never would have gone on to live my dream career, to do everything that I now look back and feel so grateful for every single day. Like, it just kind of shocked me that the universe took from me something that I thought I wanted and needed in order to give to me something that left me feeling much more fulfilled and satisfied in life. And I never would have known that had I not been kind of tuned in that way. And that was a really humbling. I can't stop thinking about it. Actually, I woke up this morning thinking about it, and it's definitely going to be the topic of my meditation for a while. That's for sure.
That is so powerful too. I remember when you told me that, I got chills, because I was like, you are so right. Because I was with you. I knew you when all of that went down. Yeah. I knew how badly you wanted that specific path and how devastating it was for you. But then to realize, like, wow. And, you know, right now when I'm kind of working on this part of manifesting, which is surrendering, and that's the piece of you that says, all right, I'm placing my order, I'm visualizing it, I'm believing it's going to happen. There you go. And you're not like, when is it going to happen? Is it going to happen now? And you're not like trying to, kind of like I said earlier, you're not trying to hold on to it with an iron fist and make it, force it to happen, but you're just like giving it to the universe and saying, I know that your way will be a little different than mine, so I'm going to trust you to do it when it's good for, you know, when it's the best timing. And so now when I start to visualize and try to, you know, manifest my dreams and the things I want, I also will quickly go back in my brain and remember other times that I really wanted things that weren't going to be the best for me. And God took them out of my way. For example, America's Got Talent is the most obvious answer. I wanted it so badly, and felt like my dreams were dashed into a million pieces when I got kicked off that show in the way I did. And I thought that I would never have a career as a result of that. And it's funny that now that still propels my career in certain ways, that devastating, embarrassing moment. And again, the universe was like, okay, I know this is going to hurt right now, but we have such a bigger plan for you. So we're going to spare you. And I know this is going to hurt, but we're going to take you over here. And it's like the exact same thing as what you were saying. And when you can like look back and visualize, like, this devastating moment led me to this. It helps you then take the present moment when you're like, okay, well, I still don't have necessarily what I want, but turning it over to God, the universe, whatever, and saying, but I trust that just like you helped me through that one and you guided me to a better path, I'm trusting that that is exactly what's happening right now. Yeah. And it is. And kind of on that note, this is another thing that Alan Watts taught in his, you know, very well-known teachings. Alan Watts taught the idea of the pendulum, and that you cannot know your highest highs unless you experience your lowest lows. So when you are experiencing those lowest lows, trust that the trauma and the pain and the heartache that you are experiencing will then in turn teach you what that happiness and that gratitude should
should feel like. And I completely believe in that now, because without the downsides and without the things that I have gone through or anyone's gone through, I would not appreciate what I have. I just know I wouldn't, because my brain wouldn't have it wouldn't be able to conceptualize that. Like, I have to know sadness in order to know happiness. And that's gotten much easier with age, with maturity, and particularly with breath work and meditation. It's gotten a lot easier, actually.
Yeah. And it's also just laws of the universe. Like, in order to, like a pendulum, the momentum of a pendulum means that you have to go down in order to be propelled up. The same way with like a bow and arrow, you have to draw it back in order to propel it forward. And so when we experience these kind of devastating disappointments or heartbreaks or, you know, whatever it may be, and you feel like you're taking steps backwards, that's actually just the laws of the universe, the laws of physics, the laws of manifestation. They're all connected. And it's like you are allowing yourself to be drawn back like that bow and arrow or like that pendulum, so that you can then have the momentum to move forward. Or that breakup is, sometimes you have to go through a loss and you have to lose something in order to make space for the new dream. Like, so whether it's a heartbreak or a loss, it's like these things are getting ready to propel you forward. You know, the loss of a job, the loss of love, breakup, whatever it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I wanted, like, maybe just, I'm going to tell everybody how to do what's become, I think, my favorite breath work exercise. And then if you want, you can tell people what yours is. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so these are just, they're so easy. And like 1 minute a day is better than none minute a day, or once a week for 5 minutes is better than none at all. So like, I can't tell you how much this will change your life if you can commit to doing this in whatever way you can add it to your life. Like I said, if you can only do it once a week. But if you can do it a little bit in the morning every day, you will see your life change and your happiness elevate. I promise you, at least from my own experience and the people that have been doing it with me. So my favorite one, like I said, I've started to do it while I walk. It just makes it feel very active for me. And I love the way it makes me feel to start my day. And how it works is it's so easy. You take 3 breaths in a row through your nose. So just, and then you breathe out. And then 3 in, 1 out. 3 in, 1 out. And I do it for, like I said, I do it for 15 to 20 minutes. And it's always in through the nose and out through the mouth with this specific breathing. And most of them tend to be in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I will tell you, at first, and still, it kind of sometimes gives me almost the same feeling as a brain freeze, especially when I first started doing it because I wasn't used to it. And it would literally, like, it felt like it was hurting my brain and giving me a headache. But the more I do it, the more comfortable it becomes. But if it's uncomfortable, just know that that's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. We as Homo sapiens, we're supposed to breathe through our noses, but because of, our brains have gotten bigger through the years, through evolution, we've become more mouth breathers. And that's not actually how our system is supposed to work. I've been reading a book about it. And it's amazing. So anyways, training ourselves to breathe more through our nose it improves health. It improves mental health, anxiety, all kinds of things. But anyways, so I say through this next song, you can either just listen or you can do the breathing with us. And I would say try to do it through the whole song and do it to the beat if you can. You don't have to, but you could try to keep with the beat. So it's like, try to do that through the song. So, yeah, let's do this. I'm excited. Let's try this together, everybody. Again, I'm going to play another Halsey song. This is my favorite remix of hers. It's Without Me, remixed by Elenium, who I also love. Here we go. Breathe with me. All right. Thanks, guys. Hopefully you got to experience a little bit of it. Yeah, I don't know. And also in the future, I wanted you mostly to just focus on the breathing this time. Because as you do it more and more, it's fun to either focus completely on the breath or sometimes like closing your eyes and just like trying to visualize those things that you want. And it can be as simple as, and this is big, this isn't simple, but it can be as like simple as I want to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what meditation used to be for me, was solely, I want to find happiness again. Like when I was going through anorexia and I was trying to just refine myself and I was miserable and I hated myself, my meditations and visualizations were me being happy. I visualized myself walking into a room and feeling good about myself. I visualized myself talking to someone and not hating myself, and looking in the mirror and loving not what I saw, but like who I am. Like that's what I used to just visualize. And now it's moved on to me visualizing like big dreams, some of which have come true in crazy ways, from touring with Amy Lee, like specific as that, to as broad as getting to just be a violinist that gets to write music and live my dreams. Like, you know, and I still have big dreams and I visualize those. So like I said, it can be as simple or it can be as massive as you want. And I would say grow into it. And if you just start at first with just focusing on the breath and tuning into how you actually feel in your body, and then, you know, eventually start adding the visualization, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. I wish I could see comments because I'd love to see what people thought of it. But
I have the Discord up right now. Yeah. People are, you know, somebody noted that they felt a little lightheaded, and, you know, that's normal. And somebody else, Zane, was saying that he started feeling kind of sleepy, which again, kind of normal. I kind of want to note that as far as like visualization goes, there's also instant real world practical uses for this. So I woke up yesterday morning feeling sick to my stomach, with nausea. Every time I moved just a little bit, the nausea inside of me was unreal. And I used my favorite breathwork technique, which is the Wim Hof method, to get myself through this like 8-hour travel day that we had. So, and it worked. It very much worked. I think I did not vomit all over my poor, you know, people on the plane next to me, because I was able to really visualize the concept of I am okay. I am not nauseous. And it worked. There is countless studies on it. There is a lot of science that backs it up. And it's one of the reasons that I love this method so much. But it's as simple as you take 30 to 40 deep breaths. You close your eyes and you inhale deeply through your nose and you exhale through your mouth without any force behind it. And you kind of just go one right after the other. You go in, out, over and over again, 30 to 40 times in short, powerful bursts. You will feel some lightheadedness. You might feel some tingling in your fingers, and those are all completely normal sensations. But as you're doing that, you say to yourself, I am this. In my case yesterday, I kept repeating, I am not nauseous. I am okay. In this moment, I am okay. I am healthy. I am okay. And instantly my nausea would go away. I'm not talking like after a few breaths it would go away. I mean, instantly my nausea would subside, and maybe 10 minutes later it would come back and I would do some deep breathing. My body would relax. My nausea would go away, and I just repeated throughout the day. I've done that in panic attacks. I've come down from panic attacks doing that. I've done it while I'm stuck in traffic and I'm just angry or I'm anxious and I'm feeling my temper start to get a little short. I just Wim Hof it and I come back to ground zero and I am okay. And it's incredible how quickly it works. So that's my favorite. And as far as breath work goes and kind of manifesting how I want to be in that moment.
Yes. No, that's so beautiful. I love it. And it's funny because when I was doing hair hanging, which some of you guys may know, I did this aerial training where I learned how to hang by my hair, and it was extremely painful and like terrifying. I was afraid I was going to break my neck every time. And I didn't even realize what I was doing because I hadn't learned about breath work yet. But I realized after several sessions, the only way I could get through it was by doing basically a Wim Hof breath. And doing exactly what you're telling me, because that's the only way in the moment I could realize I was okay, was by telling myself that this pain was durable and it hurt, but I was okay. And, you know, you're right. It's incredibly real world applicable.
Yeah.
absolutely. It's come to my aid countless times. And I've had people recommend Wim Hof particularly to me for years. And I never really took it seriously until I started reading about it and like kind of seeing like the science backing to it. I started to take it more seriously and then actually doing it. And gosh, I feel like I've wasted a lot of time not doing it. Like it just simply works. It's insane. And you know me, like I am such a proponent of like, you know, medical science works and, you know, like listen to your doctor. Like I am such a fan of doing what we know research and science has proven to work. And I got to say, this is right up there with it. And I am such a fan. I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah. Also, kind of going back to what the fans said they experienced when they were doing it, you know, some people said like Zayn said he felt tired. Someone said they felt, you know, like all these different things, like lightheaded. Sometimes it'll make you feel super energized. And so it's really cool when you're feeling that feeling of energized to stop and keep your eyes closed. And like, I like to breathe with my hand, if I'm sitting, to breathe with my hands opened and up, sitting on my knees. Just like almost like this position where you're ready to receive. And when you stop breathing, and like just focus on how your body and your cells actually feel, you'll feel tingly. And it's like your cells they've all been given extra oxygen in these moments, and they're like happy, they're excited, and they're full of extra energy. You'll feel it. You'll feel like, and in that moment, realize that you are becoming a magnet because your energy is going out of you. It's like exploding out of you. And sorry, I'm getting super woo-woo sounding in this, but it's like actually true. Like you will feel this like tingly sensation. It's just because your cells are so happy that they got all this extra oxygen. So through this next one, maybe take a moment, like if you feel like you need to stop for a second, stop and just like focus on how your body feels. And I think you'll feel cool. Okay, I have a song. I love this song. It's been big on TikTok. It's Experience by Ludovico. It's a beautiful violin song, but it's like almost 6 minutes. Do you think we can get away with doing breath for that long, Fish?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's 6 minutes out of countless, you know, minutes in our life. We owe ourselves that,
guys,
for sure.
I know that's a long time to ask you to breathe on. Like I said, I do it for usually 20 minutes, you know, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. So you can do this. And if you need to take a break, because if you're feeling lightheaded, just take a break and like breathe softly and just kind of feel how your body's feeling. But okay, Fish, remind everybody one more time how to do it.
Okay. Are we doing the Wim Hof? We're doing the Wim Hof. Okay.
Wim Hof.
It is as simple as you breathe in, just, you know, fast, but not like super fast. Just breathe in through your nose and then let it out through your mouth, but not with like a force behind it. Just let it come out naturally. And you just do that 30 to 40 times and then take a break. Rinse, repeat.
And like the way I like to think of it, what kind of helps me is almost feeling it like there's no separation between the in and out. It's almost like one continuous breath. So, and it's very smooth. And you can do it. You can do it a little faster. I usually do mine like kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then out for 1, 2, 3.
And make sure you're in a position where your lungs and your chest and your belly can expand. Like make yourself comfortable to where you give yourself that room to expand and decompress at the same time.
Yeah, and then try to fill all the way up, and then take all the way out. Like put all the air out of you, and then all the way
enjoy
up
the
again,
tingly, happy feelings.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop explaining and just let you go. Okay, so good luck, everyone. I'm excited to hear how you feel. Here we go. All right.
That's such a pretty song.
Such a beautiful song. It's definitely one of those songs that I'm like, why didn't I write that? You know, like as artists, we always hear songs that you're like, dang, that's totally in my lane. Like, but I remember discovering this artist years ago, and actually Gavi introduced me to his music, and it's so beautiful. It's just so stunning and trance music.
Some of our Discord friends are asking what to do if they have clogged airways, clogged, you know, nasal passages. And I thought, you know, you might be able to answer that better than me.
So I think it's do what you can. So, for example, I did a session the other day where I was trying to do a breath that's good for healing. It's good for your immune system because I was feeling not well. And it was hard because part of the thing was my nose was plugged. That's why I wasn't feeling well. So it was really hard to do the breath work. So it's basically like do as much as you can do. And sometimes it feels like maybe you might be forcing it a little bit, but do as much as you can do. And then rest and then feel and breathe a little more naturally the way that you can a little more naturally. And then join in again and do as much as you can do. And the thing about breath work is, I keep hearing our breathwork coach, Abby, like we do these weekly group sessions. And when people have questions like that, she always just says, do the best you can. Because one, you're going to start to help your body reopen these passageways. You're like retraining your body that this is the way you want to breathe, and the body will react. Sometimes so many of us have become mouth breathers, like I was talking about earlier, that we kind of start to close some of these passages. And like I said, when I first started, I would get super lightheaded and it was like painful. It was the same effect as like a brain freeze. I don't get that nearly as bad anymore. And it's like my body's relearning how to breathe through my nose. So I would say, just do it as much as you can and if that means you can do 5 breaths and then you need to take a break and like breathe more naturally and then do 5 more when you feel like you can, or, just whatever it is to you, do what you can.
Mm-hmm. I think what I do, because I was telling the Discord, I have chronic sinusitis problems. Like my sinuses are just perpetually blocked all the time. On that note, I have had less of those problems since I started breath work. But at the start, I would often open my mouth and I would breathe in and out of my mouth, and find that over time, my sinus passages would begin to open up as I did that. So I would like start with my nose, maybe transition to my mouth instead, and then go back to my nose.
Right.
Abby taught us a really good one that I have a hard time explaining to people, but it's one where you alternate nostrils and you press on a nostril, breathe in, and then you press on another nostril and breathe out. And I'm sure you could find a YouTube video that walks you through that very easily. But that one helped my sinus passages quite a bit. That kind of paired with maybe just like a gentle massaging of my sinus passages as I did this breath work. And I have found since starting this with you, Lindsey, that I have less chronic blockage. Like I still have it. I'm allergic to cats and I live with 2 cats, so I'm going to have, chronic sinus problems. But breathwork has helped me so much. I'm also somebody who has chronic asthma attacks, and breathwork has made me breathe. It has taken my normal lung capacity and deepened it. So I find that when I have an asthma attack now, it doesn't grip me as hard. It doesn't feel as suffocating. And it almost is it's less aggressive feeling until I can get to my rescue inhaler. I feel like it almost has bought me more time because the constricting of those vessels almost doesn't feel like they're constricting as much. It's hard to describe. I'm having a hard time putting it into words, but I noticed a difference. Yeah.
Makes sense. And that's, and I know right now we're just preaching hard. We didn't even plan on doing this today. Like we said, we might touch on manifestation and breath work a little bit, but I didn't even plan on like taking you guys through breath work or teaching you. It just felt right. So I know it sounds like we're like really harping on this, but I mean, it's given me so many benefits in my life from, like you said, being able to breathe deeper when I exercise to, decreasing my anxiety. And I know that's a thing that a lot of people in our Discord and in, questions I get from fans, I hear all the time people asking about how I deal with anxiety because I have anxiety, and breathwork has helped me like more than medication ever did with my anxiety. And I am a huge,
I agreed. I'm a huge fan of, if you need to medicate. Like I am a huge fan of, we have medical science, use it. Like that is there for us to use. But at the same time, I'm also a big believer of, in tandem with what you need to take, also incorporating lifestyle changes and skills that, have been lost to time, I guess, have been lost to the ease and the convenience of medical science. I think we've definitely forgotten about a lot of things that humanity has known and used successfully for, eons, essentially. I am very grateful for breath work. I I love that it is becoming a thing again in our culture. I mean, not just with us. I hear people talk about it all the time now in just the, most unusual ways. Breath work will come up and I'm like, oh, you too.
Right. So yeah, I just hope that you guys can take this and put it into your life the way that fits your life, however little or however much, because I can't even tell you the amount of cool, fun things it's brought into our lives. Everything from manifesting to health to, to anxiety reducing. So I also want to talk before we run out of time. Which one do I want to go into? Let's first go into, I just want to approach the topic, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but I just know there's a lot of feelings about some of the legislation that was passed today. And, I don't know how people in this room feel about it. Maybe some of you are excited about it. Maybe some of you are devastated. But I just want to touch on, I know there's a lot of heated feelings around this, and myself, I find it really scary, and it's a little heartbreaking. And so for anybody who's feeling a little scared right now and heartbroken, I just wanted to touch on it a little bit.
So absolutely. We should touch on it.
If you want to go into I feel like you explain this stuff so much better than I do. So maybe if you want to explain the legislation.
Yeah. So today, Roe versus Wade was overturned. Which is a massive blow to women's rights in our country. And almost effective immediately, dozens of states now have put laws in place that, abortion is illegal. And, it doesn't matter where you stand on this topic religiously or, personally. What it comes down to at the end of the day is that women have lost a right. And it's devastating. Nobody wants to kill babies. Nobody. There is not a single person in this entire country that wants to kill a baby. And I think we have taken a big step backwards today as far as rights go. And
I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
I shouldn't have said it. I said except for Pete, but I was joking. That was a fair comment.
No. We need a little bit of levity, right? We need a little bit of levity right now, for sure. My friends and I have been making quite a few awkward jokes because we just don't know how to continue talking. Me, I definitely find humor in the darkness, but it's a lot.
I think you said it perfectly, where it's like, no matter how you stand on this issue religiously, and I will say personally, my religious views make me realize that for me, I would not want an abortion. I don't believe morally, personally, that I would do that. That's not something that I feel fits my spirituality. However, I would never say that somebody else shouldn't be able to make that choice for themselves. And that is the beauty of the fact that our Constitution was founded with a separation between church and state, is that my religious views affect me. And I honestly feel it, because whenever someone gives an argument for being in favor of the abolishment of abortion, it always comes down to a religious view. Whether they argue it or not, the argument is always that basically they believe it's a soul is put into the body the moment of conception. And so in their mind, or in my mind, that's a soul, that's a life. But I'm like, but that's a religious view. That should not be a political view. That's for the individual to make for themselves. And I do not understand why any government feels they have the right to tell women what to do with their bodies. And it's really, really hard to take, because like you said, nobody wants to kill babies here. Nobody.
I am, me, you and I guess, I'm surprised that you and I have so many, I shouldn't say surprised. That's the wrong word. You and I often have really healthy discussions, even though, we walk different paths in life. We are always able to have such healthy discussions about these things. And it frustrates me that that's just not the case across our country. When it comes down to it, whether it's religion-based or non-religion-based, that is a conversation that an individual should have with God themselves or with their
Yes.
family or with their doctor or just with their own heart and soul. Like that is just a conversation that is personal with that person. And, you know, I definitely in an attempt, I always make an attempt to hear the other side and to do research into why people feel the way they feel, because I never want to go into something like this having an uneducated view. And so I've spent a lot of time. And again, like I'm an ex-Catholic, so I come from that background. I've spent a lot of time listening to my old colleagues and my peers discuss this. And I think that there is a very large misconception that abortion is used as like a flippant plan B, or just, oh, I'm just going to be irresponsible because I can get an abortion. But the idea of that is outrageous to me, because people don't seem to understand that having an abortion it's traumatic. It is not something you just go and do. You know, it's not let's go out on Friday night because I can just go get an abortion. Like that's not a thing.
It's also really hard on the body.
Oh, it's like super traumatic on the body. Yeah.
Yeah. The body has to have all these hormones injected into it. It's not like a fun process. So it's like you said, it's not like I'm going to be careless because of the option. And I'm very much like you where, you know, I am still Mormon, and I was raised very much so to believe that abortion was evil, you know, that you are killing a baby. And whether or not I still believe that, that's not the point. The point is that through growing up and through gaining my own views on things, anything from gun control to abortion, I think that there's a lot of power in realizing that, oh my gosh, I can change my mind about this.
Yeah.
How I feel about it for myself can be different for how I feel about it for other people's choices. You know, like I can say, well, I would do that, but I would never say that someone else shouldn't be able to. And I no longer feel like I've changed my mind, and I realized I don't think it's evil. I think it's somebody else's job to determine that for themselves. And, you know, and I don't know, there's a lot of clarity that comes from saying I'm at a point in my life where I know that, hey, tomorrow, if new research comes out and if new perspectives are presented, I might change my mind on any of these issues again, because I've changed my mind before in the past when I've learned new things. And I think that's really
healthy.
Healthy place to be.
Yeah.
To not just stick our feet into the sand. Anyway, sorry, continue.
No, I think it's also another really important thing to bring up that, you know, when people hear the word abortion in a fear-mongering way, they're hearing the idea of like a fully formed baby being torn out of a woman. And I think it's really important to lay the very real understanding down that, you know, abortions don't happen after a certain point unless something very wrong goes on, unless something very, very traumatically wrong happens. Like abortion is not pulling a fully formed baby out of a woman. That's not it. It's, you know, up to a certain point of development. Like it's all very nuanced and very delicate and very scientifically based and very medically scientifically based. Like it just, I've seen the tactics used to make people think what abortion is, and it's just not right. It's just simply factually on paper, not right. Yeah. Like there's no politicalness to it or whatever. It just factually is not right. And I weep for these people who have this incorrect idea of it. And you and I were talking about it earlier, you know, off air. I think more than anything, I am terrified for the women who will suffer and die because of this. There are women who will want that baby, and that baby is now no longer with them, but they cannot have it removed because of these laws, and they will go into sepsis and they will die. Or God forbid, you know, there will be rape victims who will have to have those babies, and they will have to see, you know, their rapist in that child. And that's not fair to the child. It's not fair to the woman. It's just not fair. And, you know, I don't know, as an ex-Catholic, I became Catholic way back in the day because I wanted to live a life that, you know, that was love thy neighbor. And I believed that that was the route that I wanted to take to be that wholesome, ethical, moral person. And I just quickly realized that, at least in my Catholic faith at that time, I realized that that wasn't the case, and that my Catholic colleagues did not love their neighbors. And so I guess I just encourage everybody to do their research and to take religion out of it and to have a personal relationship with their God and not decide on what their neighbor gets to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think above anything else, that's how religion has changed for me in the last few years. And sorry, going into very personal territory,
yeah.
but realizing that my whole life, my faith was more based on the church I was a part of than it was on my relationship with God. And that was my problem. That was my fault. And and I've turned into far less judgy of a person and a much happier person because I don't relate everything to, well, this is what the church says. And so that person's bad, I mean by it, honestly, I think we all do. I consider myself a kind person, but I feel like I've become a much less judgmental person.
Yes.
Since making it all about, hey, this is what I feel like God has told me to do, regardless of what, quote unquote, the church or any organization has told me to do. I found my own research, my own spiritual connection with God, whatever issue. And, and I just think that right now is a bit of a scary time because it's the truth of it is that when one party or one group loses some ounce of freedom or gets some freedom taken away, nobody's safe. The rest is
nobody's
safe.
safe.
Not only did women's rights just take a huge backward step, in losing the ability to have say in our own bodies, that's my brain. But also you were telling me that gun control took a backward slide today.
It did. It actually yesterday. So gun rights were expanded yesterday instead of, the opposite, which is in light of everything that has happened, just mind-boggling. And on top of that, with today's decision, it now sets a precedent for gay rights. It sets a precedent for interracial marriage, for contraceptive use. That stuff
the interracial marriage thing is terrifying to me. What are we living in the 60s? And it feels like we're headed towards Handmaid's Tale. It's scary to think that as these individual laws are made, nobody's rights are going to be protected except for, and I feel like I am, one of the, a lucky one in this area because even though I'm a woman, I'm still white, I'm straight. And I just get so worried for those that fall into a lot more of these minority categories that have faced so much discrimination in the past and have so many of these quote unquote, strikes against them in terms of race and, being a minority or underprivileged or whatever. I look at myself and I'm like, here I sit. I'm one of, the luckier ones in terms of history and what history has told me I am. And it just makes me so afraid. All this progress we've made for all these other cultures and the fact that in some states you can't say gay anymore. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter what you believe, but in the end, love thy neighbor. That's it. Do not be the judge. You are not the judge. Just love thy neighbor, regardless of who that person is. That is the best thing that you can do in this world. And I always maintain that if Jesus came back today, he'd be like, what the hell are you guys doing? This is not what I wanted. This is not what I taught. This is not why I died on a cross for you. And again, I say that as an ex-Catholic. I say that as somebody who has left her faith. But I do maintain that if Jesus were to come back, he would be like, yo, this is not what I was talking about,
I think that is such a way to say it. Hey, take the judgment out of the equation and the world would be a better place. No one's going to have a rougher day because you're not condemning them from across the street. No one's going to be better off because of that. And, as someone who's still I still consider myself a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I believe in Jesus Christ. And I can't even tell you how many messages I got of disappointed members of Christian faith when I was outwardly supporting Pride Month. And I'm posting how, happy I am that, it's a time to celebrate love in all of its shapes and forms. And, people said oh, you've lost Christ. And I just wanted to be oh my gosh, Christ would be sitting and eating and dining and laughing with these people. That's what he told over and over again. He was out sin, cast the first stone. His whole entire ministry was about love thy neighbor. It's not your place to judge. That your place is to love. And so it just blows my mind when all these Christians and people say you've lost Jesus, because I'm more so than ever in my life, I feel like I have found my version of Jesus, like the true version that I relate to.
You know, I've never told you this, and I probably should at some point. So I guess I'll do it here live on the air. But I can't tell you how many times that I have told people that, you know, in working for you, that you are an example to me. Once again, as an ex-Catholic, you are an example to me of what I always felt a Christian should be. And I should probably say that out loud to you at some point. But I often tell people Lindsey Stirling is what I feel Jesus wanted from Christianity. Like, there is a loveness and a wholesome, just kindness and empathy and loving of everyone that kind of goes against the grain of, you know, the faith that is taught nowadays, but in the way that Jesus, at least what I was taught, the way that Jesus wanted us to. So I don't know. I probably should have told you that at some point, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so kind. So kind. Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. You just went up my feathers like that. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. And, you know, I hope you go out there and pick
love
one cause.
Another.
And love one another and pick one cause and just see what you can do in your community to support it the way that you believe it should be supported.
Yes. Put the karmic good back into the universe.
Awesome. Well, sure love you, Linz. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a good weekend. And we will talk to you next week at the regular time on Wednesday at 5 o'clock PST. Signing out.